Can everybody see my screen?
Looks good.
Okay, great. So hello, we are the DFA UT Austin National Project Team. We're excited to tell you about what we've been working on for this semester's national project. This project was a national effort from DFA studios across the country to help YMCA branches cultivate change makers in their local communities. We recently presented our solutions and findings during our DFA National Expo to several YMCA executives and members as well as to our DFA mentors and peers. Today we'll be giving you some more context on our project, talking about our user persona, sharing our solutions, and explaining the potential impact of our solutions. I'm Alberto Scavallo. I'm a third-year Arts and Entertainment Technology student working on Design Strategy Certificate as well as the team lead for this national project.
Hi, I'm Maria. I am a second-year advertising and studio art major. I'm also getting a minor in entrepreneurship and design strategy certificate.
And hi, I'm Wen. I'm a first year majoring in business, and I'm intent to major in management information system. And then Grace.
Sorry, I was muted. I'm Grace. I'm a third year studying business and plan to. And then our last team member is Ivana Yelensky, but she was unable to be here today.
So now that we've done a little bit of introductions, we're going to give you a little bit more context about the Cultivating Change Major project. So historically, youth have been the biggest agents of change in their communities. The unique perspective provided by young people has given rise to many movements, such as the environmental movement, March for Our Lives, the Women's March, and pro-democracy activism worldwide. Though the Y has been a well-known community for young people in the US, the Y has had issues engaging with the youth of today through their programming and young member enrollment. They've seen a large drop in membership among youth in the last decade, going from having 50% of their membership be youth to now having it be 39%. And so with this information in mind, the YMCA and DFA National gave us the problem statement: how can we engage and empower youth to be change makers in their communities? And so now that we've given you a bit of context for this project, we're going to get to know who exactly we were designing for. This is Susie. Susie is about to be a freshman in high school and doesn't really know what this next stage of her life should look like. She has big dreams, but she's shy, quiet, and hasn't been involved in her local community as much as she wants to, but she wants to change that. She's been inspired by other change makers like Greta Thunberg and has been interested in embarking on the path to becoming a change maker herself. But Susie doesn't know how to get started creating the change that she wants to see in the world. She cares about stepping out of her comfort zone, but doesn't know how to get involved in her community, collaborate with her peers, or understand the problems that she's trying to address. Though she's keen on acting on her goals, she feels reserved because oftentimes her opinions are not taken as seriously because of her age. This is an issue that is apparent with many people like Susie, and one that we've tried to understand throughout the course of this project. Susie is also seeking validation that she would need to become a change maker, but she's lacking the education, resources, and community that she needs to affect her own local community. And so once we finished our initial phase of research and once we got a little better idea of who Susie was, we decided to reframe our initial how can the Y empower and sustain the change-making efforts of young people like Susie. This is to address the need to connect students like Susie with the tools, connections, and confidence to become a change maker for life. So we know that Susie is frustrated when it comes to change making because she doesn't know where to start, she doesn't have the resources she needs, and she doesn't have a community to validate her efforts. We've developed 2 programs to help Susie on her path to becoming a change maker. Let's see what that experience would look like in a Zoom call with Susie and a YMCA representative.
Hi, Susie. I'm Mary, a representative from the YMCA Changemakers. I got your email regarding concerns on how to start your own change-making journey, which is exactly what I'm here for. The YMCA Changemakers has 2 programs that I'd love to talk with you more about whenever you're ready to hear them.
Hey Mary, thanks for taking your time to have this video call with me, and I would love to hear these programs.
Perfect. So the first program that you can participate in is the YMCA Changemakers Camp. So this program is 2 weeks long and it takes place at your local Y. During the program, you'll hear from different change makers on various issues, from finding your passion to engaging with your community. You will also learn about design thinking, participate in empathy-building activities, and collaborate with nonprofit organizations and other students. Lastly, you will get a chance to reflect on your experiences. Is there anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, I haven't heard about design thinking and empathy building before. Can you please tell me more about them?
Yeah, sure. So design thinking is a process that prioritizes empathizing with other people's needs and then developing solutions that meet those needs. During our program, one of the activities you'll participate in is an empathy exercise where you'll work with a partner to understand their ideal method of gift giving. You will learn how to conduct interviews by asking pointed questions that dig deeper, how to interpret that information, and devise solutions that specifically aid your partner's issues. The goal of these exercises are so that you are properly equipped with the tools to enact changes. And in case you're overwhelmed or worried, don't be. As you can see on this slide, one of our alumni said what's on the slide. In knowing what she came in knowing that she wanted to help people, but didn't exactly know what she wanted to do. But she always stuck with the sentiment that she needed to understand the people around her to impact change.
That is so reassuring to hear, Mary. I want to make changes, but I don't know where to start. And I think empathizing with people will be the best way to make those changes. And Mary, can you please tell me more about what's included in the rotational volunteering?
Yeah, sure. So the rotational experience allows you to go beyond the classroom and you get to work with other nonprofit organizations on issues that you specifically are passionate about. Our past program members have found this aspect to be especially useful for them to develop their passion by just being in an environment that allowed them to experience the things that they always felt that they were lacking in their community firsthand. It made them more likely to make changes.
That's really great to hear. And I would love to learn how to implement these skills and the lesson I've learned in design thinking and the speaker events to solve real life tangible problems. But Mary, what if I can't attend the program physically or I don't have the resources to do so? Are there any other options?
Yeah, there are. So the YMCA also offers a self-paced online changemaker certificate program. In this program, you'll gain the same tools and build an online network, but it'll be from the comfort of your own home. So here is what the online program would look like. So each week you'd complete a module, homework assignment, and workshop. Are there any questions you have?
Yeah, like what do the weekly module and the homework assignments look like?
So each module will be focused on a different topic. As you can see, the first module gives you an overview of the topics that will be covered throughout the entire program. And then after you complete the module, you'll get to watch a TED Talk for homework.
Huh, okay, cool. And I also noticed that there's a workshop on the homepage as well. What does that cover?
Yeah, so each assignment has its own workshop. After you've completed it, you'll connect with another cohort member to discuss it. This will be one of the ways that you'll be able to build your online community.
Huh, I've never gotten the chance to be a part of a community that cares so much about helping people, but I've always wanted to prioritize it. And are there any other ways that your programs help members to build a community?
Yeah, of course. We always want to make sure that it's a priority to create an inclusive environment where you learn from and help each other. So in addition to sharing weekly assignments, you also get paired with someone from your cohort who has a similar passion to you for a group project for a nonprofit organization.
Okay, awesome. So we've told you about Susie, but where did Susie come from? We created Susie using an amalgamation of insights we gained from a ton of different students across the board. Albert, can you switch the slide? So we found when we interviewed students that a lot of them would be interested in these change-making programs specifically. So we found that 96% of students would be interested in change-making and 84% would be interested in this program. A lot of kids like Susie are interested in making a difference, but they just don't have the tools to do that or the knowledge of where to start. This program would empower them to do that. Moreover, this program aligns with the YMCA's key goals, which are empowering individuals and empowering communities. In this program, we both target individuals by helping young people learn about their passions, how to implement their goals, how to help others. And we also benefit the communities by empowering individuals to be contributing to them throughout their lives. Thus, we meet this two-pronged goal of the YMCA through this program. This program is also designed to help young people find their passion and connect with others. And the YMCA has the ability to implement this program, as we've seen through our research, by implementing programs like Youth in Government and similar programs where they've specifically connected to youth. This would help youth take that first step in getting involved, connecting with others that would help them then join these other programs where they can make a difference. All in all, we believe that this solution perfectly aligns with the YMCA's goals and will help young people and communities to flourish. Thank you for your time. That's all. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, feel free to ask questions about process. I know we kind of focus on more of the solutions, but we have a expansive index or appendix where we can share some of our process if you have questions about them.
Did you guys get a chance to test this with users at all?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
presentation. I really liked the narrative part at the end, but I was curious about that.
Let me switch to our, so what we did was we had a Zoom call where we designed a role play session where we specifically simulated like an abridged version of the online certificate program, or the, the online, not the online program, the summer program. And so what we did was we walked them through basically like what it would look like stopping by the facility that they were going to orientation, and then speaking to other students, where we have like other team members pretend to be students and simulate like community building. Talked about the specific things that they were going to talk about in throughout the session. Introduced a video, we just kind of like played a video and had them imagine that it was someone speaking in their auditorium. And then after that, we went to a building empathy exercise where the user and another student would work on designing the perfect gift for a friend. So like using interview techniques to understand their gift giving process. And then after that, we went into a prototype of the rotational program where the students were walked into a room with a bunch of other organizations and nonprofits, and they'd get to talk to whoever they were particularly interested in speaking with. And then we would give them a small scenario or prompt for them to tackle for a couple of minutes. And then after that, have them reflect with the partner about what they've learned today and how they felt about the specific programs. And then ending that with an interview.
And I would also like to add on to that. Albert, can you please pull up the website? Yes. Yeah, yeah. And then so after we have completed our prototype for a summer program, we also give them kind of like a prototype for our website to see how they interact and the kind of questions that they might have.
I had a quick question. I'm not super familiar, I guess, with like YMCA or just the context of where this came from. But so you guys mentioned that YMCA had programs, but I guess the number of participants just went down a lot throughout the years. So just like, were there programs, I guess, related to empowering youth and change making? And like, did you guys look into why those programs failed? And I guess with this, like any pertinent information from that, you guys applied to this?
Yeah, so, or you can go ahead and take that if you want.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say one thing we found is that when we looked at YMCA programs, specifically Youth in Government as a case study, we found that the students who were successful in that program were super successful. Like they were very involved, were passing legislation, were already like kind of like super change makers. But what we found is that a lot of times what was missing was the ability to like get to that point to really like start people being change makers, to find students who weren't necessarily already engaged. And that was what was kind of lacking in the YMCA programming. And this is a picture of Albert doing research at a Youth in Government competition. So we wanted to make sure we bridge that gap between helping students just get involved in the first place, so then they can go on to do programs like Youth in Government if they want, that are a little bit more intimidating and that usually students are already involved when they join these programs.
Yeah, and to add on to that, when we were doing our user interviews, we would ask about any particular programs that they were in. So some of them had mentioned Hobie, which I know is pretty popular here at UT, as well as YMCA Lead. And so we investigated those programs a little bit. And so what their main complaints when it came to those programs was that they didn't actually get to practice what they had learned outside of the bubble of their program. And so with this specific summer program or like the online certification program, we wanted to bridge that gap where they can actually get involved with nonprofits in their local communities that would be set up through the YMCA branches.
Yeah, and to add off of that, this wasn't like something that we just heard from the students. Like some of the like YMCA representatives and like the people who taught YNG also brought up that it was like a great program that was like introductory or like something that like someone who's already like very passionate about like passing legislation would be great for. But for someone who like didn't know anything about it or wanted to do something beyond just like learning about like policy and government, it had some like key things that were lacking, such as like helping students to like really make changes beyond that program. So that was like kind of our mindset, like creating a program like this so it would be like complementary with YNG.
I'm curious to know, y'all presented this to the national national presentation. Also, YMCA was there. What did they say? What feedback did you get, and what was that experience like?
So it was interesting. I think we had a mentor who's particularly fond of this idea, so she was really excited to see what we had come up with. Her name was Eileen. I don't remember her last name, but she was particularly impressed with the work that we had done. We got a lot of really great questions about some of the things that you all just asked, actually. I think overall we were well received. Trying to think of, does anybody remember any specific questions or any things that someone might have asked? If not, trying to remember. No, I don't know if there's anything specific, any specific critique, but a lot of the feedback we got was very, I guess, more of like appraisals and stuff. Does that answer your question?
And I would also like to add on to that, so with the current situations, we were also asked like how is this program going to respond to like the new current situations, like now that we're all going to the virtual.
And what did you say to that? What did you say to people when they asked how is it going to be virtually?
So I think what we had tested was that we would do the online certification program. That was kind of that was an idea that we were thinking about before one of our national calls. And then once we got on call, they were super about it because of the recent change in like global events. So when we were asked about like incorporating a virtual element, it was more focused on incorporating the online certification program, which they were highly for. Does that answer your question? We pretty much just like deferred it to the solution that we had already come up with.
Gotcha.
I have a question that I'm just curious about. So I guess I feel like I was raised at the YMCA and I was just associated with like a workout facility. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm wondering, was fitness a part of the conversation, or is that like something, do they believe that had some aspect to why these programs are struggling or why youth aren't
I can take this one. I don't know about like fitness specifically, but we definitely talked about like YMCA is like a family brand or like a place that like people all throughout their life go to, being a part of like the reason why youth aren't as involved, because a lot of kids who like go to the YMCA for programs like YNG aren't introduced to it just from like going to the YMCA. It's like through their local community, and like a lot of them come from like low income families and stuff like that. So it's the YMCA is like a company and like a brand definitely like have a really key role in like helping like make this program that like we've created like stand out, and like it definitely like plays a key role in like targeting specific students who like don't have the resources otherwise to um impact changes. And like it's like even though it's meant for like everyone, like I think like the community like the Y targets is especially targeted with like our program as well.
Yeah, and to add on to that, a lot of it was figuring out like what the youth was interested in today. So a lot of the other solutions from like the other studios were things like having a Changemaker magazine where it's student run, or having a podcast where young changemakers could interview other changemakers that were already adult professionals. And so this project, I guess, was mainly to identify those methods that they could engage with them that were not necessarily like fitness programs, because they feel like they had a lot of success with those, but they wanted to branch out to create like more change within their local communities that they felt they were lacking.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I was just curious, like based off of your testing, what do you guys see for the next iteration? Like what changes have you been thinking about?
So that's a good question. We're actually we have a form to fill out for what that kind of looks like sometime this week, because DFA National will be taking this potentially as like a phase 2 project where we'll be handing off our findings to another studio or another team within our own studio to take on the mantle of this project, and to like flesh out, so to test it and see if it would work in like a local branch setting. So I think the next steps for this would probably be trying to figure out how we can incorporate the curriculum that the YMCA already teaches with like a Y lead or like the YNG, and also like our own or innovations from other industries like design thinking or like the Ashoka Changemaker programs, which are like a prominent change-making cohort. And so figuring out how we can incorporate that curriculum into this program, as well as like connecting local Ys with like their nonprofits in their areas. It's kind of like what we are envisioning right now. I'm not sure, does anybody else have any other thoughts on that?
I would add that phase 2 will get more into the feasibility and desirability aspects. So working with a local Y to think about how this project connects, like you said, Albert, with like local goals and whether it will vary across Ys, and also thinking about like the details of the summer camp, for example, like how many weeks will this last, more in depth of the day-to-day, and thinking more about the financial constraints and how we'll overcome those.
Are there any other questions, or does that answer your question, first of all?
Yeah, that's good. That sounds good.
Great.
If there are no more questions,